Hey everyone, it is Krabby, and I haven't been here on this YouTube channel in a long time. I used to be playing a lot of Minecraft speedrunning, and that's where most of you will know me from. I don't know how much of an overlap the Minecraft speedrunning gameplay has with, or the community has with the Geoguessr community, but I've kind of merged into Geoguessr full time now, and I just play it most of the time. I haven't even played Minecraft in a long time, besides building. So. Yeah, I've just been enjoying it a lot, and I think I could give some helpful tips for people. I think I'm pretty good at Europe in this game, and I haven't uploaded in a long time, so uh, I know some people from the Minecraft community play GeoGuessr as well, or the speedrunning community, because it's kind of a similar type of game. But I just want to run through some rounds and explain my thoughts, maybe give some tips, because I think I have a few tips on Europe that other people don't give so typically, and I'll just explain my thinking through the rounds, because I think it's something that is not super common on YouTube. But yeah, here we go. So first round in this country, and we have the nuts. I don't know what that is, but kind of an interesting looking round in Europe, and it feels kind of a Baltic region because of the road quality is kind of bad, and it's just very like forested, lush, and something to note with Baltic countries is the yield signs have this red border, and if it's thin, it's going to be Lithuania. If it's thick, it's Latvia, and if there's no white border around the red, it's going to be somewhere in Estonia. Now, some people could assume this is like a green blur here, where the round looks kind of tinted green, and that would be very common in Estonia. But since we have the border with the white and it's thick, should be somewhere in Latvia. So just going to try that, and it was indeed in Latvia. So 33 miles away, not bad. Okay, right around here, we have a few tips to distinguish the country. We have double white center lines, which in Europe is mostly found, in the world is mostly found around like Greece, Poland, Malaysia. Those are like the typical countries with double whites in the middle, I would say. And then we have some Polish poles with the holes and the A-frame. You can see this in other countries like Hungary, but the poles will be rotated sideways, so they'll be like the holes will be coming towards you. We also have the Polish font, which you start recognizing later on if you play a lot. And everything else just fits really well. Oh, here's the Polish crossing sign, which is very distinctive. And the Polish bollard with the red strip. Don't confuse it for the New Zealand bollard. Poland is a pretty impossible country to guess inside of, so I just click middle. It was nearby the middle. Okay, here we have some Cyrillic alphabet, so typically found Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Serbia, these kind of countries around here. So, gonna be in one of those. Okay, these like ones with the yellow border, I think are found in like Russia and Ukraine. I'm pretty sure someone could correct me on that if they know. But with these bollards that are kind of spammed around the edge, I'm sure most of you have heard of those. It's gonna be somewhere in Russia. I'm terrible at Russia, but I've got these like kind of tall trees, so I'm thinking somewhere northern. Let's try it. It was northern, but just far over. Cool. Next round, we have some interesting Norway here. So there's a few ways of figuring out. So we also have like Nord and Norge on this like spare bank, but there's a few of other ways of knowing. So we have these like big rocky cliffs and stuff, which you could associate with like the Alps or something, but not as much with the rocks. And then we have this big water like bay or inlet coming in. I forget what it's called. But we also have a green license plate on the back of this utility vehicle, which would mean Norway. We have long dashes on the road. We have white signs, white and red, instead of the orange and white, orange and yellow, which would be found in Sweden and Finland, which just wouldn't look like this with the big mountains, but also good to know. And then you also have bolts in the sign, which is found in a few countries. Norway, Denmark, Hungary are the main ones. Greece also has it, and there's a few others, I think Ukraine. But Norway does have that, so it's helpful to differentiate it. And yeah, other than that, should be just somewhere in Norway, and I would probably guess somewhere southern. Norway is a very difficult country to guess in. Could be a bit more north, actually. Or it could be like all the way up here, so we'll see. It was all the way up there. Yeah, sure. Either way, got the country, so just going for some streaks here. Here we have another holy pole, which you could associate with Poland, but this one is painted white on the bottom, and the holes are a bit longer. The like concrete brick is a little bit thicker, and that is very helpful for distinguishing where you're at. Right here, we have a Romanian yield sign. So they're pretty uncommon to see, but when you do see them where they have this really thick red border and this little tiny white triangle, that's going to be somewhere in Romania. Also good architecture tips that looks quite Romanian with having these little windows popping out like this, these small ones. I don't know if we'll see any more, but anyway. And then these poles are also found in Hungary, but they wouldn't be painted white at the bottom, so that's helpful. And then there's hills, which is also quite uncommon for Hungary, pretty flat country. So, as far as a guess, oh, and Romania has thicker road lines. This is another good tip. Romania has thicker road lines than Hungary and Bulgaria, and these three countries, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, also all very typical to see the blue Gen 4 car with the antenna. Also Germany, but yeah. But yeah, and then thicker road lines here, so should be in Romania here. And we are just right in the middle. So, there we go. Good 5 in a row there. Next round, we have slow on the sign, and we also have English. We're driving left here because you can see the antenna is in the back and it says slow here, so very helpful. We also have brick houses, just looks English architecture here. The chimneys coming out either side can also be found in France. And these little things going up is England and Ireland, so very typical. Ireland wouldn't typically have a brick place like this. It's kind of uncommon to see that. And yeah, other than that, I would say, yeah, we're just going to be somewhere in England. Yeah, cool. Outside of London. Okay. This round would be kind of difficult if we didn't have the car, but we have this really wide blur, and we're low to the ground, so we should be somewhere in Switzerland. Also, Japan has this, but obviously this isn't Japan, so we also have some kind of traditional Germanic architecture, but that could be very mistaken for others. And then these big like Germanic poles that are like have a really wide top. So it should be somewhere in Switzerland, and it's not too mountainous, so it should be somewhere out in the hillier areas. Very good. Okay, looks like we have a little bit of a harder round here, maybe. Yes, okay, so what are we looking at here? We have some bollards here. Okay, here. So we have these holy ladder poles. Ladder poles are found, France, Portugal, Spain. I'm gonna assume that you know something about Geoguessr if you're watching this, but those are where the main ones are found. But if they have the holes inside them and are more like the Brazilian poles, it's gonna be somewhere in Portugal. Other tips for Portugal: all the architecture is basically white most of the time, so very white walls and red roofs. You can just see it mostly out here. All white with these like orange roofs, and that's about it. So this does not feel too northern to me, but I don't know, I would just click somewhere right there. Was just south of the capital. Okay, so here's some tips on why you immediately know where I am here, because this could be kind of a confusing round. But yeah, so starting out, we have a flat sign back, which is only found in a few places. A lot of them will have them wrapped around like the edge. And these really small tips are really helpful when you're in a really low information round, because if you see like a flat sign back with a thick post, you can rule out a lot of places. So another place that would have this type of thick pole would be like Hungary. But we also have this cap, this black cap on the top, which you mostly see in Germany and Czechia. Other places too, but most common there. And Czechia wouldn't have this thick of a pole, and we also have the German language here, so quite helpful. And other than that, I haven't really practiced Germany, so I'm just going to click in the middle. Was near the middle, so good. Okay, next round here, we have what looks to be Croatian bollards. So this is a big mistake that people make a lot. These bollards with the really thin top, and they just look like this, like the white, can look like the Croatian ones. The Croatian ones usually have red in there, but if they have the white and the thin, that can also be found uncommonly in Portugal, which is what this is. And the reason I know this one is Portugal is because we have this style of chevron with the the orange and the black, you can really get that this is Portugal because these are very common in Brazil and helpful for identifying Brazil, which speaks Portuguese, obviously. So you can kind of identify it like that. And that's about it. These ones are also found in Norway and I think a few other places, but yeah, I'll just kind of click somewhere southern. Okay, so we're getting all the countries right. I think I'm just kind of going till I get a country wrong here, because that's helpful. So we got the black painted bottom of the signpost, which should be just somewhere in Russia. Cyrillic language and tall trees. Now, we also have the blurry antenna. There's a lot of meta with that, and I should learn it. I've tried, but I just haven't, so that's a pretty good guess, actually. So anyway, very good. Okay, here's a good tip. So we're driving left. We have the sign post to the left of the road. We also have these things, which we talked about also in England and Ireland. These types of road lines with the dashes that are like kind of longer should be England. If they're a little bit shorter and have less gap, it should be more France, typically. But we have a tip here, right here. It says Araf, and that's going to be somewhere in Wales, because Araf means slow in Welsh. And other than that, we're just going to be somewhere in Wales. Also, the hilly landscape fits very well for Wales. So, yep, there we are in Wales. Next round here is going to be somewhere in, I think it's going to be the UK again. So we have these typical UK houses here. We have yellow plates on the back and white plates on the front, which should only be in the UK. Pretty sure. If you have yellow on both sides, on the front and the back, it should be Netherlands or Luxembourg. Yeah, that's basically it. So we have blue plates on some of these license plates, which is like kind of makes it a little bit more complicated because UK isn't in the European Union anymore. So typically they don't have license plates with the blue strip like this one. So that's a good way of differentiating Ireland and England. If you're looking at the front of a car, if it doesn't have a blue strip, it's probably England over Ireland. Brick buildings, everything feels fine. I'll just go like Birmingham. Feels like that area. Good guess. Next round here, in a beautiful location here. And what do we have on the thing? We're somewhere in the Alps. Looks like somewhere in the Alps for sure. We have this kind of Germanic architecture with these big type of houses and a different like wooden panel at the top under the roof, and then wider walls, stuff around there. But anyway, should be somewhere in Austria here. We could be in Slovenia with this bollard as well. But this might be a black part, which if it was black, it would be Austria. And if it's white, it's more, like here, this one is black, so it's definitely Austria. If it was white, it's more common in Slovenia. Still can be found in Austria. And then, yeah, so it'd just be somewhere in Austria. Just kind of bang it in. And we were actually pretty far over, yeah, west. Okay, we've got a huge church here, which won't be too helpful necessarily because they're all around Europe, but we do have sign bolts here, which is quite helpful. And I actually don't really know what that means because we should be in Germany then, because yeah, this truck here says Dortmund, so I'm assuming we are there. And yes, so Germany also does sign bolts. It looks like I didn't know that. And yeah, architecture feels fairly like French or Germanic. I don't know the difference really in this case because it looks quite French to me. But these like flat tops on the things, like the roofs, look a little bit more German to me. So we are kind of closer to France here. But anyway, Dortmund. We were south of that, but sure, good guess. Looks like we have a bit of a harder round here, but still going to bail us out by a few things. So this license plate is actually visible. It's really hard to see the actual letters there, but I know they're going to be Poland or PL because we have the Polish street sign, which has a really thin red strip that kind of rips around the outside, really thin, and has the yellow in the middle. Very helpful. And yeah, everything else just looks fairly Polish. This thing I've seen on signpost, trees, and stuff, and I know it's most common in Czechoslovakia. If that is fake meta, then you can let me know, but I'm pretty sure that's real. But in this case, it's going to be Poland, so, and all three of these these countries will have it. So yeah, it's very close by Czechia. It's probably fake meta, but I wanted to try it out. Anyway, here we go. We have some of these like big mountains, which you often should immediately associate with the Faroe Islands or Iceland. So both of these are very northern style mountains. Just like this kind of like orangey green grass going up, covering the hills, and these like just flat tops and stuff like that. But here we have the Faroe Islands Google car with the roof rack and the window and everything. It's a very big city. I mean, it could be the capital. I think I'll just try that, but Faroe Islands, yeah. Okay, it wasn't the capital, it was this place, Klaksvik. Okay, like we talked about earlier, we have the front license plate being orange, and that one is white, so this could be a bait car traveling from the Netherlands or Luxembourg into this country. Because I'm a little bit confused where this actually is. So we have this type of a street sign, which has a yellow border, most commonly found in like Russia or Ukraine to have a yellow border, but this doesn't really look like, I mean, it's not the right crossing sign for those countries. So I'm a bit confused. We are driving on the right side of the road. We got the steering wheel on the left, so we're driving right. And the sign back is flat, so that is helpful. Could mean that we're in Poland or Romania. But I'm kind of confused on this round, to be honest. So look around a bit more. I have seen the yellow border in Romania, so I might just go for that reason. This might be a holy pole, but I also see it's on a train track, which every country has that in Europe. License plate is confusing me. And then we have this weird bar. I don't hate Romania because the architecture feels okay for it, but it still doesn't feel quite right. It is Gen 4. We do have this car, with the blue car with the antenna, which would be most commonly found around here, so I do kind of like Romania. I'm just going to have to go for it. Hope for the best here. And it was Hungary. So, tips we could learn off of this. And this is something you should always do after losing a round. Let's see which one we were seeing. This one. You should always do this after looking at a round, or after messing up a round, especially in Europe, because there's all these little tiny clues that will help a lot. I think our main clue here was that it was a flat back of the sign, which is not common in Romania. And the pole was a little bit thin for me to go Hungary, I think. And then the crossing sign, here's the main clue I think that I missed. This signpost is really tall, and oftentimes you see really high signs in Hungary. The hilliness was also throwing me off quite a bit. And also the road lines are thin here. Or they're thinner than the Romanian ones, at least, just by a little bit. So yeah, that was a little bit of a throw. But anyway, we had a 17 streak, so pretty good there. Anyways, I hope you gained some tips off of this, and I will be posting more Geoguessr stuff. I don't know how many people are going to be interested in it, but I think I have some pretty good tips on Europe and a few other places that I'm pretty good at, US as well. So that's going to be the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like it. And I'm back, so that's kind of cool. I don't know if any of my Minecraft fans are going to watch this and care. But maybe it helps them get into Geoguessr, so there we go. Have a good day.